ASBO meeting, and so tonight Superintendent Bass will be acting as secretary and taking the notes. So in that case, may we have the roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm writing this down.
Cabildo. Here. Sorry, Smith. Here. Hauser.
Here.
Anderson.
Here.
Rudin.
Here.
Downs.
Here.
Schmitz.
Maybe here by phone. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Someone.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Do we have any communication from the public tonight? Okay. So we have, as you can see on the agenda that I've posted, we don't have any future items for consideration. So the Honorable Mr. Barron will be taking the stage and will give us some facilities updates.
Sure.
All good news.
Yeah.
I'm going to leave this. Are you using the screen?
Good.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. What's that? Yeah, that'd be great.
Do that.
All right. All right, well, thanks for having me here tonight. Just want to provide a little bit of information to you in relation to all of your projects. So as you read in your board summary there, milestone achieved. So as of 2 weeks ago, we have now bid all of the components to the new elementary school, and then as well as your other projects for actual bid items. And it doesn't mean all the work is done. It does mean that there are some other district procure items and stuff that'll happen at a later date. But from DLR Group standpoint, we have bid all the major components that are going to be there. So I won't go through all these. You guys can read and everything, but we do have a history, and I think we've established that of total project management, total budget management for you.
Sorry, this is Sarah.
That's okay.
Well. Yep. Yes. Okay, this is Sarah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're on speaker now.
Okay.
You're on speaker.
Okay.
All right. So what we've done for you here that you got in your board packets is really provided some condensed summaries of all the project budgets to date, and can show a running total for the rest of the duration of these. So we work with all the parties, the administration, the staff, everything to prepare these and put these together. So next slide, please. So the first thing I'm going to show you is kind of the district-wide summary update. And this is just kind of a roll-up, next slide, of all of your projects. And I'll just stand back here just for a moment so I can watch and explain with you as we go along. So this is all of the projects that we have going with you at this current time. With the exception of the last column there, that's an agenda item that you have tonight. So being a little bit presumptuous, but showing you the capital improvements that you have on schedule for the current term. The first column, first two columns, first three columns actually deal directly with the bond component, and I'll show you that in the next slide. But then you can kind of see here, we just rolled up all the construction contracts, all the professional fees into just a holistic summary that you can see, and it's actual budget versus actual at the bottom of each column. So if you go to the next slide. This shows you the bond-related summary. So the elementary school, the fixtures, furniture, and equipment, which is on the agenda for tonight for approval. and then the fitness center, because a portion of those funds were used for the from the bond. There are some other capital improvement dollars embedded in there, but so it may be a little bit skewed from how I'm showing this year, but I just took the total budget nonetheless. So you can see budget versus actual. I'm proud to say that we are under budget by 1.1 million for everything that was budgeted there. So kudos to the district, kudos to all the design players that make that happen. You go to the next one. So now this one, again, takes a little bit more realistic look. We did not include the last column there because it's only budgeted amounts at this point. But you can look at all the budgets combined, and that we're at about 2.4 million under what was projected for all of your projects. Now, a few of those were a little bit higher. The Webster security upgrades, you can see, was a little bit more. And that was, we explained that at the time based on the quickness and the turnaround of having those things done. And then I'll also provide a little bit of information in regards to the furniture when we get to that point. There's a little bit more dollars there. But looking at, again, holistically, you're sitting very well compared to what was projected. And so I'm happy to report that. That's good news. Next slide. So then just to understand where those numbers come from, next slide. The project budget summaries I'm going to show you here are for each project, and they're the detailed summary, because what I showed you now before was just kind of an overall. We do establish a construction budget or a construction contingency amount for each project, so that we know that there are changes that's inherent in the construction process. And the one thing that I want to point out is everybody has kind of the misnomer, the connotation that change orders are bad. Generally, they are an ad, generally. But there are times, and we do have examples of that in our projects now, that there's also deducts. So let's all lump together, and those are all budgeted for every time we do a budget for you. So the next slide. So I'll just take this as an example, and we can go into detail on any one of these, but I'll just show this as an example here for the new elementary school. So on the top, on the left-hand side, we show budget amounts. Column A and B are estimated budgets during the design phase: pre-design, schematic design, design development. That's the PD, SD, DD, and then CD, because after design development, we usually establish the budget for you, knowing what the desires are, the wishes of the district, and how that reflects things. The professional fees area is generally the DLR group, the A&E services. And then professional fees other is everything else related. So we again, even on project budgets where those things may not be included, I still show them, I illustrate them so that you always know where your dollars are being expended. And then miscellaneous expenses for planned distribution, utility rebates, things like that. But down here at the bottom, budget contingencies, cost escalation, design, planning, and construction phase. For all of your projects, we always hold back money or within your budget to account for any changes that may happen. And so you can see that for generally a new project, it's about 3%. For a renovation, we may go up as high as 5%. Those are industry standards. Those are governed by your contract. Those are things that we reviewed with Allers at the beginning, and again, just industry standard. But the part that I like to show later on, you can see we're still early in the process, so I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to hide anything here, whatever, but we don't have any change orders today because we're still getting out of the ground. But I just did provide a little bit of a summary. We're about 3% complete. That's the demolition of the existing building, and then accounting for materials that have been bought and that are maybe stored right now and not on site yet. Okay. Then on the fixtures, furnace, equipment, I won't go into a lot of detail on this because again, we'll share this a little bit later, but you can see that we hold, we talk about a budget amount, and we talk about the actual contract amount there in item C or column C, and then keep marching across. So we're at 0% because you haven't awarded anything yet tonight. Next slide. So for the fitness center, this is the fitness center and the renovation on the inside. You can see here again columns A, B, and C, and then who the vendor is or the contractor who's working on behalf of you for the district. And then in column D, we track the change orders. So for this project thus far, we are 33% complete, and we have one change order to date that's been enacted, executed. And that totals 19,611. There are other changes that are probably coming that we know about, but usually the way DLR Group works is we typically have things that are kind of time sensitive. And so we always involve an administration component. We don't ever do anything on our own and approve a change or approve dollars to be spent without district approval. And then that shows you, as you go across. And so I'm always holding that construction phase contingency here at the bottom, and that's what you have remaining. So at the end of the job, let's just for a second here say that we're really, really good. And we only have this one. That 96 will be turned into a 0, and that will be your budget, what your actual budget is for that project. So the goal is that we always have something remaining in the contingency and never have to taking anything out of any other budgets. Okay, next slide. Same thing for the HVAC renovation. So we're about 48% complete on that. They've set 4 of the 5 rooftop units. A lot of the ductwork is installed, gas services there. The roof structure is strengthening. Most of that's been completed. There's still a few things that are in process. And at almost halfway through, we don't have any change orders thus far. Not to say that there won't be, but we are holding, again, in your budget, about $200,000 worth of contingency should it be needed because we're going into existing spaces and you never know what's going on in there. So, okay, next slide. And then finally, the Webster Elementary classroom, and then the high school entry components, its safety and security piece. So I think we're actually, that should be about 33%. I apologize on that percentage there. We're about 33% complete on this. Oh yeah, because I apologize for that. We are complete with the Webster classroom, and then we are set up and staged to do the entry components at both buildings. So I apologize for that progress report there. I knew that when I saw the completion date. But on that, for that classroom, we had a $542 change, and that was believed to add a curing agent, a moisture agent to the floor because of the speed at which we were moving. Concrete typically has a cure time to get the moisture out. And in order to get that ready for class, we had to do some mitigation there. So I feel confident on where we're going with that. Next slide. And then again, I won't jump too far ahead, but we are anticipating, we're planning for you on what your turf replacement costs will be. And those are again allocated as part of your capital improvements plan. And just again, showing before we even get started, we establish budgets so that we can hold to those. Next slide. So that just gives you kind of an overall summary of what we do for you. I know it's not always out in the public. It's not always the glamorous part of things, but we do manage this on a continual basis, and we have people in the office that are working on your behalf daily. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the update.
You're welcome.
So we'll move on to item 6, which let me see if I can get that in. Item 6, which is going to be the second reading and approval of the Policy Series 800 updates. This is a training room.
This is true.
Okay.
Did we take out the one?
Yeah, that was 457, and it is still in the wings.
Okay.
Those were in, the miscellaneous ones were.
Okay, okay.
800, we just had the one apostrophe that needed.
Do we have any further clarifications or questions?
Move to approve the second reading of the 800 policy.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Sarah?
Yeah,
Aye. Okay. Unanimous. All right. Now we have one, that's where the 457 was, and so we only have one in here. It is the new policy for establishing clubs in the district.
Motion to approve new policy 616 Exhibit A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Sarah? Okay. So, board reports,
Don't have any,
okay. Superintendent report,
nothing this time.
all right. So may I have a motion to bring forward the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. So, if we have any general questions, and then I'm going to propose that the explanations for E, item 1 and 2, we maybe look at in more depth. So do we have any general questions on A through D? Clarifications?
I would just point out to the board, as you can see, a little bit of change of format. Instead of putting those under action items on the front, we thought it makes a little more sense since these are bills and contracts that we state under there. We will make sure though, since we all want to keep a close eye on the construction costs and what's going on. So we will always try to pull those items out for your viewing, so you know they're just not tucked away. But it just seems to make more sense. Again, the contract agreements are moving forward with action items, but yet they're not money. So under the bills is where you'll see those change orders and things that cost items. So we'll try to hold to that. I think it just seems to make more sense.
So you can see the schedule here that is proposed by DLR for the turf replacement. This is not a vote to move forward, except to begin to examine and consider the process. This isn't a bid or anything. So do we have any questions about anything that's included in here? Do you? Sarah?
no, I don't.
Okay. I wasn't sure she was still there. Okay. So the next item then is clarification on the bids for the furnishings and interiors and the finishes and the signage for the elementary one. Do you have any questions on these proposals?
Okay, so we talked about for furniture, there's two ways we could pay, right?
Yeah.
We could take the amount that it would cost now to buy, or defer that and say, in case it might be cheaper, we'll pay for what it'll cost when they actually deliver. Which one did we go with?
So a little, and this is partly why the numbers are what the numbers are. So the furniture vendors on the Shepherds and on the Premier, they have both included cost increases, planned cost increases for the next 2 years.
Okay.
So one of the things that we are hoping to do is to kind of beat the cost, similar to what you do in a building structure, where they can pre-buy all their material, get that all done, and then they can choose whether to stage it and store it on their property or deliver it, in time, basically. What they are choosing to do, and all the vendors are choosing to do this, is not to pre-buy any of that, and to basically to plan in increases and build it in time, because their warehouse space is, valuable, and we don't have a place here, in the district to store it. If you do, we can save you a little bit of money. So what the vendors have done is actually The cost increases are anywhere from 5 to 7% per year increase, and those usually enact on January 1. What they have done is they've averaged that and said it's 3.5% per year for both years. So you've already saved money on the front end by taking that option now. They're guaranteeing their work, for the next 2 years. And one of the vendors, Premier, indicated that should the price increase not be 3.5% average per year, you would probably see some dollars back.
Oh.
I don't want to get my.
No, but that was for one of the specific manufacturers where a lot of it is actually going through. So they're pretty good at knowing what that price increase would be. But in the case that it isn't that, you would see that savings for those items.
So I don't want to get your hopes up, but that is an option that they put on the table, and that's part of your contract. So those two total about $60,000 to $70,000 in cost increases there that are built in that we did not have as part of our budget, assuming that they would have discounted that up front. The other piece of that is the delivery and the installation components are a little bit higher, and we just did not have that budgeted in as we were working through the on-contract pricing, which is the material pricing. So again, I apologize for not having that included, but you can see in the overall grand scheme of things that I think we're still within the budgetary parameters that we've established. And then the final option, final item, and then this is just in relation to anything that we've done, is just involving the staff and the teachers in the items that they wanted and needed. Prior to this number being issued, we've shaved off about $100,000 worth of cost by either modifying the vendor and the type of equipment. And even just as of last week, we had sent out a revised survey to all the staff members to ask them about their teaching desk, their teaching podium component. And so I'm happy to report that it's about a 50-50 split on what we had originally budgeted or planned for, that there's a change there. So that's about a savings of about $20,000, roughly $20,000. So those budget numbers are included in this here, so that you're seeing the most current and up-to-date information. So that talks about the Premier and the SBI components. The other two, Heartland Finishes and ASI Signs. Heartland Finishes was the vendor that we're proposing for your window treatments. So window blinds, basically in every classroom space. The only spaces that do not receive any kind of window covering would be stairwells or the cafeteria, the main commons area where there's really large windows in those spaces.
And that also includes louver blinds at your admin.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. Then so for each classroom and at the admin area, just at the admin, we have louver blinds. So there's similar to this. There's a side light window for privacy in the event that you need it for whatever's going on. And then finally, the ASI signs. So we had received 2 bids for your signage. We'd asked 3 vendors to participate. Unfortunately, the low bid was not the lowest responsive bidder, in that they could not fill out the forms properly. So ASI Signs was the winner there, and that was about $1,000 difference. So unfortunately, it did come down to following directions, and if they can't do that, I'm not sure what might happen later on.
Still under budget though, yeah.
And still under budget, yep. So when you look at all those, that would be your combined contract amounts for all of those. They are each individual contracts, but that would be rolled up under there. There is one furniture alternate that I included up above in the explanation up above, and that was for some workroom tables and cabinetry that was movable, whereas everything else is fixed in the space. That's your choice. I left it out of that number here, but I believe it's about 73. Go up just one page, right there. So under alternate number 1, workroom island counters, about 73, 76. And what that does is provide a movable storage and flat top space inside each workroom. It's your choice if you'd like to accept that and take that can be added to it. But in the total scheme here, just recognizing the overall budget and everything.
What do you mean workroom?
So each grade, there are 4 workrooms in the building. So basically,
That's a collaboration.
it's a collaborative,
For the teachers.
for
Oh, for the
teachers, yeah.
teachers, okay.
Teachers, associates.
Print room type of thing.
Okay, great.
The reason I asked them to pull it out was in those rooms, a lot of them, like right now, there's already counters and plenty of storage.
Yeah.
There's a good
We're not
amount of
sure if
space.
we need that storage, so we thought, you know what, at that cost, it's not astronomical. Let's wait and see if it's being utilized. Then we can always go back once we have staff.
You can always purchase them at a later date,
Yeah.
or, at the time of the next elementary, that's something that can be added on to that, so you save on the freight and the trucking and stuff.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
And they'd be on wheels on there, so you can move them and all that stuff. So
I feel like you always need to.
So that is the summary for all of your furniture and, finish type items for the elementary school.
Great. Oh, you're probably up for the next one too.
Thanks for planning this meeting around my
Yes.
schedule.
Well, so far it's all been good, so keep talking.
So this is in relation to kind of the information that I shared before. So this change order here is for the 19,000 plus the 562. And so if you remember how we issued this previously, the original contract budget for the high school was $4,036,000. Because we took the Webster and the Urbandale High School classroom and security items, we issued that as a change order, and so that's $499,500. So from an administrative and a cost accounting standpoint, when we issue these types of documents, it is combined for both of those projects, and thus why, for Mary Beth's purposes and all of your other budgeting, I provide the detailed budget summary. And of the 20,153, which is this change order here, that is the 19,000 for the high school, and that's the 562 for the Webster Elementary. So it's purely an accounting issue here. Again, all the things that were included in this summary have in some way, shape, or form been approved by the district at the time of construction for their need. So this is more of a formality in order to finalize the accounting process. And we often do that just, again, from a simplicity standpoint, rather than bringing you, I'm not going to say that there's going to be 100 change orders or 100 changes, but rather than bringing you 100 pieces of paper we roll things up on a monthly basis, so that it makes it a little bit easier for you and honestly for everybody involved.
Yep.
Even better. Okay. Yeah. So this is payment for
this is
stall.
stall.
This is a stall bill. Any questions on this? No? Okay.
You have Bill Harper here. If you have any questions, directors?
Mhm. Okay. Okay, let's go the other way. Okay, so this is is this quarterly? How's this?
Bill's
go?
that
Monthly? Okay. Any questions on this request for payment? No, okay. All right, That being said, if we have no more questions or discussion, may I, do you have a question, Sarah?
No,
Okay,
no, I couldn't actually hear everything,
okay,
but I don't think I had any questions on what I could hear.
okay,
And what I
so,
reviewed.
so we're gonna vote now on the adopting the consent agenda. Okay, all in favor of adopting the total consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Great, thank you. Okay, I have no discussion of other matters, but I see someone here has a list.
Just a couple of items. And dealing with construction, just an FYI, Kim Jurdy was worked for Stahl, and she no longer is working on this project. And Bill, I don't know if we have any update on who's taking her place yet or not.
Right now, I got Hall, she's our operations manager in Minnesota. She's down here, usually Tuesday through Friday, and she will be doing that until we get somebody to fill that spot.
Okay. Thank you.
If you know anybody, let me know.
And yeah, from the board, we have to train her to do our format stuff, so we have a few issues with that, but hopefully we'll get back on track and you'll be provided with all the information you need. The elementary number one, again, they, you'll see them, they're grading it all out. The water table has been a little bit high, so it's been pretty wet. I think they were hauling trucks there today, is that right, John? Somebody told me they saw trucks there, so.
Something like that. Yeah, it's just, the dirt we want to use is just a little bit wet right now, so, when I see dirt hitting disc, trying to get some moisture out of it here in the next few weeks.
And with that, you'll see it compacted down in the trenches. You'll see them dig it back out and again, fill it back in because that's what they do, so it doesn't fill up with moisture. I haven't talked with Mary Beth since she's gone, but I think at some point, since we haven't had any guidance from ISB, I'm guessing that current board members will be here until the November 25th. I'm guessing. I just said, again, I got a chance to speak with Mary Beth, but at some point here, we have to make a decision. And I'm not sure if we're able to make that transition with the new board on the 11th of November. So I think we'd be much safer to say November 25th. If I hear differently, naturally, I'll speak with her next week. And if we do get any little more specific guidance, we'll let you know. But I just thought it might be best we just look at the 25th. And then I will be coming the next meeting. We didn't have time to get it in with some proposal to change 4 meeting dates. The city council only does it through December and for a year, and now they've got the dates open. So when we previously approved the meeting dates and locations, we had to put those here. Naturally, I think we all prefer to be at City Hall if we can. And now that they're looking into next year's, we have 4 dates that we can change and move from here to there. So I'll be bringing that to the board's for approval at the next board meeting.
So that's for this school year still.
That's correct.
And before we adjourn, want to urge everyone who might be watching us remotely, there is an election a week from tomorrow for city council and for school board. We'd really love to have your input. If you could bring yourself to do that. Do I have?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Okay, we are formally adjourned. Way to go. You guys still get an hour.